Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all had a fantastic Memorial Day weekend and Memorial Day. We took that day off, decided to welcome you guys in on this Tuesday beautiful morning. So sit back, relax, and have some fun. We got a lot to talk about. Reese Davis does something that I've been thinking about forever. Just didn't have the cojones like Reese did to talk about it. Then we'll get into possibly the end of the NCAA. Sankey kind of throws out some words that have some heads turning. We'll talk about that. Playoffs finally answer the buck. Give us what we've been asking for. Great stuff there. The love of college football, the lust, the smell, the feeling we get on Saturday mornings. People are starting to question, is it what it used to be? Is anything? Then top 5 wide receivers in the SEC. The boys get after it. They give you their list. I have my thoughts, my opinions, as I always do. We'll get after it. Without further ado, our co-host, Cody, a.k.a. the Bush Light Professor. Come on. Yes, sir, baby. Give me the crack, popple, and wobble. And then, of course, Cowboy Ty. Whoa, zoomed in there. Okay, big fella.
Whoa.
Goodness.
Hey, thanks for giving me my holiday off. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Listen,
right there.
Yeah. Ty's like, I'm on vacation. I don't remember any PTO coming through. Ty, he goes, well, I don't remember a paycheck coming through. I go, these are great points that all of us are making here. These are solid accusations. Let's move on. Good to see you, boys.
My poor smoker ran a marathon this weekend. I mean, my goodness, it ain't stopped.
Your smoker, my liver. Somebody was running. Okay. Oh man. Well, good to see you, boys. Glad to see that you guys are all doing well and looking fantastic. And look, shout out to our veterans, and obviously the main reason why we have Memorial Day. It's always important to remember the ones that served and protected this country. Cody being one of those guys. So not that Memorial Day isn't for him. That's more Veterans Day. He's still here with us. But again,
for now.
Yeah.
Never know.
Shout out to those guys, man. But let's dive into it, man. This is a fun little topic. Nothing to ever kind of really get too wild with it, but a fun one to start the night off with. Reese Davis brings up a fantastic point, a point that I've always thought was crazy, but it's been here before me, so I just, it's just one of those things. Obviously, the college football season is 2024, but then we roll into the playoffs and the championships, it automatically changes to 2025. And he says he refuses to call it the 2025 national championship or 2025 playoffs. He refers to is the 2024 season college football playoffs, or like he speaks it as a past tense, but refuses to use 2025 when describing, which I love. I love that he said it because I completely agree. It just doesn't make any sense. It should be. I know it's hard to kind of carry it over because it is taking place in that new year of 2025, but we're rolling into 2025 season now. I've always hated it. Like, think about for Florida when they won the 06 national championship. That's the 05 season, right? I think so. I don't know. I always get confused of what the years are. So I just love the fact that he said something. Again, I thought it was just a me thing. But when you get Reese Davis, I would say one of the goats of college football commentary saying, yeah, this is a problem. I was like, okay, cool. I'm not alone in this world on this one.
Yeah, I think we should just make it easy for everyone. I mean, it's the 2024 season, so it's the 2024 playoff. I mean, who cares if it rolls into the next year? You do 2025, and then you have the 2025 playoff. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, this is very stupid. I don't disagree. Like, it's the 24-25 season, but why isn't it just the 24 season if it starts with the 24?
Branding's weird too. I mean, they can't go back though, because you had 2025 playoff merch last year. You can't do it again this year. So
it's all sales
for all those
perspective.
people that missed out, you can do it,
Think about it. It's all marketing. The same thing the car companies do. You go on the lot, it's 2024, but you're magically buying a 2025 car. And then, in January you can go buy a 2026 and it's 2025. It's a marketing thing to make you feel like that
you're ahead.
That you got
it's
the
new
newest,
thing.
Precious thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like video games. Video games do the exact same things.
Oh, absolutely. It's all
I don't
marketing.
think it's genius. I don't feel like I've never understood the car thing either. It's bothered me actually. Like I don't want a car for next year, okay? Because that could have problems. You guys we haven't even made it there yet, okay? Let's just give me the car for this year. Well, that car came out last year. Look, this wasn't that great of a conversation, but I just shout out to the guy, okay? Shout out to the guy Reese for at least making me feel like I'm not alone in this world. It was greatly appreciated, and I wanted to talk about it. All right, let's get into the juice, man. This is something that I talked when it rolled out. I actually kind of made a pretty full breakdown video of it, of my thoughts when you kind of saw the writing on the wall, when the big money started to flow in, when the SEC decided to add 2 more teams, the Big Ten adds 2 more teams. They signed these massive deals with ESPN and change TV ship ownerships. I looked at it and go, when you add Oklahoma and Texas, you kind of take the wind out of the sails out of the Big 12. Okay, you add USC and Oregon to Big 10, you literally eliminated a conference. I'm like, you kind of have the heart of college football outside of a couple of teams in 2 major conferences. If these two kind of wanted to look at each other and say, you want to take our ball and go home, it could happen. And now I don't feel like either one really said anything. They definitely have been operating that way with the way they've been navigating through the college football playoff, saying we're going to get 4 buys. Like that's how they've been acting, is that we're better, we're bigger, we're going to get 4 buys. You guys can basically take what we give you. But now Sankey comes out and says, I have people in my room asking, why are we still in the NCAA? What are we doing here? Right? The SEC has asked for more autonomy from the other 4 conferences. I don't have the authority to just apart from the NCAA share with the decision-making working group that I have people in my room asking, why are we still in it? So if he doesn't have the ability to leave, why even bring it up? Because I believe, right, that he's trying to at least say, hey, if we want to push the envelope, we probably can. We have the power, we have the money. They feel confident enough that, hey, we probably have enough of a logo or a brand that we can function as just the SEC. Now, again, I think that it would be the SEC and the Big Ten. And Ty, you're going to have your argument here about, keeping it all together. And it's a great conversation. We'll get into it. But look, I don't think anything will come of it. But this is, I think, a shot across the bow of, hey, we kind of carry a lot of weight. We hold a lot of the cards. We need you to be a little more open with us in this decision making, because I've got people in this that I work with day to day saying they see the paper, they see the numbers. What are we doing, Ty?
Yeah, well, I disagree with the statement. And the reason I disagree with the statement is because you lose some of those out of conference games if the SEC were just to go by themselves, them in the Big Ten. I mean, you would lose that Clemson, you would lose that South Carolina into the rivalry game. You would end up losing that Florida State, that Florida game. Like, I just think you lose too much you lose too much of your fans, because I mean, even as like teams of fans in the ACC, like you 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 still watch the SEC, and as if your team is not playing in the NCAA, and in a situation like that, I don't think you're as invested in those games as you would be, even if you're like a fan of a Clemson or a Florida State or something like that. So I mean, I get what he's saying because they are a big brand. I personally wish we would just go down to like 2 conferences and have divisions in those conferences, kind of like the NFL. I would rather see that than I would rather see just a SEC brand, a Big Ten, just kind of combined together. That's kind of my feel and how I would take it.
So look, before you go, Cody, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with from a college football fan perspective. But let's think about it from a business side of it. If they're talking about having to go to 9 games anyways, the SEC, the Big Ten, you're only gonna have 3 out of conference games. 2 of those are gonna be cupcake games. Those games are irrelevant anyways. Let's call it what it is. Okay. So Florida was only really losing that FSU game, which I would hate. I don't want to lose that game. But in all reality, I'm not going to stop watching because Florida's not playing FSU. That just means
I'm
that I'll
not saying
probably
you. I'm saying
you're
like
gonna.
somebody a fan of a Florida State like may not watch
I
those
understand.
games as they would be invested.
There, yeah. Well, so yes and no. Maybe not, because look, if how I'm looking at this is that if the Big Ten and the SEC, it sounds crazy, but if they go out and create a super league, then you're going to have 2 leagues competing for one another, and then it's going to be really weird of like what is, the true college football. You're going to have, I would say, the NCAA version of college football, and then this version of college football. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if they separate, you're an FSU guy, would you not go watch if Florida now plays Ohio State, because that is more likely to happen if these 2 come together? I think you're tuning in. I don't if that, because now if they do that, right, those 3 non-conference games just become basically Big Ten games. So then you're going to have Florida versus maybe an Oregon, a USC, and Northwestern. Again, if that's were to happen, I know this seems kind of crazy, but this is the threat that they're making. And look, when you've got, like I said, these teams that are there carry a ton of weight. Now, here's what I think could happen. If they do leave, they're bringing FSU. They'll go pull the Clemson, the Miami. they'll probably go pull about 15, I say, more teams from those other conferences to basically just say, hey, be gone with it. Now, I think that'd be horrible for all of what college stands for. But that I think the fact that he's saying it, he's kind of stepping in as if he's Goodell. Like I can go commission my own league is definitely a confidence of like we carry a lot of weight. We've got a ton of money backing us. I kind of can do what I want. Cody, the eyebrows twitching.
Yeah, I don't see it. The Big Ten is not a super conference. They have two decent teams and then a bunch of mediocre teams. I mean, it's always fighting to the bottom of the barrel for the Big Ten and the SEC. I mean, they're a little bit better. I'm gonna say this, but to hold all of college football at hostage, I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
And I'm a SEC guy, but to hold them all hostage, listen. The out of conference play games are awesome. We love it. We love the Miami game. We love the FSU game. And to remove that just because you wanna have the biggest uh you know the biggest measuring stick when it comes to measuring
Nice
sticks. I'll
PG
keep it
there.
clean here.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
I'll just say this. I don't agree with it.
The biggest tumbler in the room.
Yeah. Listen, and the SEC is not it's a great conference, but can it hold an entire, 14, 15 we keep expanding this thing 16, 17 weeks? I don't think so. I think it's just going to get monotonous. And the best thing about college football is when you get some of these teams that you're not used to seeing or these rivalries that are out of conference that you love to play every single year. And I think it kills college football to go away from it. I get the money, I get the TV sponsorships, but the SEC and the Big Ten need to buckle up. They're not the entire program, okay? You're not bigger than the logo, and the biggest logo is college football.
So here's my thing. I don't think that they would just go as they are currently. I believe what they're trying to say is that, hey, the NCAA, if you don't kind of force their hand and do your part, which we've always as fans complained about, we're gonna walk away and we'll pull some with us. Again, I think it'll be much bigger than what it is now. I mean, you're gonna see team if this were to come to fruition, they're gonna probably bring 64 teams, and so then maybe like a Northwest or a Washington State kind of falls off, like kind of picking random teams here. Maybe like a TCU doesn't make it in that list, right?
We got
That's where
Tulane's a private school down in New Orleans. They recruit their butt off and not
they're not
historically
a
great,
but so
but they're
all
not
those
a
teams
powerhouse,
they're
but
not
they're
a Power Four
always top
conference.
25.
Yep,
But
so
they're
they wouldn't
always
be
top
close to
25.
making it. I'm talking, yeah, those guys definitely would be
I don't like
left
it.
left to the side. I would think. Yeah, look, I think
I,
there's bads to it for sure. Great points.
once again, I think we just need to cut down to. I would love to see like 64 teams, but just
Well,
let's
if we
just
do
have
that,
two
then
divisions.
so you're agreeing with what I just said. You would lose a Tulane if you cut it
I,
64 teams.
I don't necessarily think that. I just think that like get whatever get down to two divisions and you still have. I don't know. I'm
That's what
trying to
I'm saying.
figure out.
That's what they're saying here. So you're agreeing in a sense what
So
Sankey's trying to push.
I am, but I'm not because I do like to see those upsets sometimes with those little smaller schools against these
We
bigger
okay,
schools.
well
It's
make your
fun.
mind up. Make your mind up, Ty.
It's
You're
tough
saying
though
two
I
different.
because
mean,
then
I'm
you
in
have a
between.
I agree. So I'm the same
you
way.
have
Like
a
we want the hold on, Cody. Sorry, we want the sexiness of college football of the Tulanes, right? Of the App States beating the A&M. Like that's what makes it
That,
exciting. And so if you take that away, yeah. But in the Boise States, I don't know if they'd have a home. To be quite honest with you, we would lose what we saw this year if that were to happen. So there will be some things that which created college football, made college football the kind of the great historic um, traditions, right? We would lose it in the smaller schools for sure. So yeah, but I get at the same time, I think the reason why we want to go for that 64 team because in a way it does create a little more organization. You kind of don't I would think the rankings would be a little more cleaner. The argument of like whose schedule's harder and tougher, you would have that, but it's similar to the NFL of like, hey, this division was a little bit easier this year, but it shows. So I think there's a happy medium. I do think there's too many, you know,
also,
competitors with this.
something you would lose is like some of these smaller schools getting money from these bigger schools to come and play them, and that would
Yeah,
kind of demoralize their programs, and that's tough. Like I do as I look at it, I like the way it is. I just wish we had a better system than what we have. I kind of that's kind of my philosophy on it.
sure.
And let's not forget, there's always a bottom feeder at every conference, right? Like I'd rather watch Tulane than Vandy play football normally over the past 20 years. You take their 20-year record and or Northwestern. They're both terrible. They're dog water. Okay. So I rather watch a Tulane that pops in the top 25 every other year or even more every year. They're always in that top 25 range. They've had a good program for 20 years, a private school, than watching Vandy. I'm sorry. So what are you going to kick the bottom feeders out from the Big Ten and SEC, or do they automatically get a bid because they're a part of that
So if
conference?
Tulane
It's tough.
played in the
It's
Big
tough to
Ten every
say.
year, the SEC, you wouldn't be saying that. It would be they'd be in the exact same situation. So I get what you're saying, but if they had to play in the SEC, they would be Vandy, and it would be just reversed. You could do kind of
I
like
think
with soccer.
they'd be better than Vandy. They'd be better
You
than
get
Yeah,
my
they'd be
point
better than
though.
Vandy.
You get my point though.
Historically, over the last 20 years.
You get the point though. They'd be at the bottom. And so it would just be kind of a typical like kind of run of the mill team. You could do where you have like what soccer is, right? That's the Premier League or whatever. And so you do kind of rotate that bottom because don't think about SEC Big Ten. Just think about it as one big league, right? Which is kind of what it is now, but it's not. There's tiers to it. There's levels to it. So you would eliminate those levels and tiers, and kind of sort of you would still have it, but a little bit more because Division One, Division Two that would exist, but the Division One, I would say, is a little more cleaner. You kind of trim the fat in Division One.
Well, I think the NCAA is I hate it. First of all, I would love to kick them out and just have one big one and not call it the NCAA. I'd be okay with that, but have the same situation, but just kick all the idiots out of the
Well,
NCAA.
that's what he's saying.
But I
What
would
about a
like to keep it
Mitch?
the way it is,
Yeah,
and then we
you're
get
not
Nick
invited to the
Saban to
board.
be commissioner. Nick
You're not
Saban to be the commissioner.
you're not invited to the meetings, Ty. You're just like, can we just have our cake and eat it too? Like you're not providing any solutions.
I mean, technically, what is the NCAA minus the protocol and transfer portal that they've totally misrepresented? What do they do?
Nothing
And
besides
scholarships.
rake
That's
in
it.
cash. Yeah, besides just basically just they're not
I
doing
mean,
anything.
they've been
That's the point.
their
That's the reason
headquarters
this
in
conversation's
Indianapolis.
why we're having this
I can't even
conversation.
find it. I don't even know where it's at, and I live here.
Where what is?
NCAA. They're right here in Indianapolis. I can't even find them. I don't even know
The
where they're
biggest
at.
joke of a corporation there is, buddy. It's one of the most profitable. That's the crazy part.
It's a pyramid scheme.
Yes,
It is a pyramid scheme.
exact Ponzi scheme.
Ponzi scheme.
Mary Kay.
Good
for
stuff.
Jeff.
Great conversation though. I think a lot of solid points. Everyone had different perspectives on it. Cody's was wrong and I was right, but they were still good. They were really healthy. Those are solid. Look, boys, finally the NCAA and the guys came together and finally gave us what we wanted. They gave us the straight seeding. None of the bull crap we had last year where if you win your conference, you get automatic buys. No. However, the seeding ends at the end of the year is where that's going to be. And I think that's a great step going into next year. And that's where obviously the conversation for 14 and 16's you gotta pipe down. Let us see how this works before we start adding more teams to it. Because look, that was a massive factor, right? When you're given, was it Boise or Arizona State and Boise State, right? They both got a bye. Am I correct on that?
That's correct.
Was that the Final Four?
It was Boise, Arizona State, Oregon,
and Georgia.
and Georgia. Yes.
Yeah. That's just it. Obviously, it would have been a much different story if that wasn't the case. Clemson probably would have stayed where they are, but Arizona State's nowhere near the top four. Ohio State's probably in the top four. Tennessee's 5. Tennessee's making it to the second round, getting into the rhythms. It would have made the first round games much more electric because those games are kind of lackluster. But anywho, the biggest part of this, and this kind of speaks to going back to the NCAA for not holding anybody accountable, is Notre Dame has always operated bigger than the brand. They've always acted as if how Sankey's speaking now is that we don't need you. Notre Dame has always done that. We don't need you, and you can't force us to do anything because we're Notre Dame, and nobody's forced them to do anything. And now, before the playoff seeding hurt them because they could go undefeated, but the best they were going to get was a 5 seed. And to me, it's like, look, well, you're missing out on a major game. That's fine with me. Now it's back into their hands because they don't get to play. It honestly crushes the championship in a way, right? Because unless that game gives you just 10 more points, let's say, for winning it in regards to where you rank, Notre Dame, in my opinion, still should not be a top 4 team if the 4 teams that win the championship were with 1 losses. That makes sense. Because right now they could go undefeated. They're going to be arguably in the top 4, right? But then they're not playing an extra game where you're going to have 4 teams. And look, Clemson, Arizona State, no. But Texas and Georgia, right? Both those guys have won losses last year. Having to go play an extra game, that's huge. And seeding obviously is a major factor in whether or not you have to play an extra game or not. So something has to get figured out with Notre Dame. And again, if the SEC and the Big Ten were to leave essentially or go create their own league, Notre Dame would have to go and follow somebody's rules eventually. And I think it should start now. Ty?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back and you would have, I said this is the way it should have been from the beginning, but if you go back and you look at what the games would have been like, it's kind of crazy because we'd have had Clemson against Notre Dame, which would have been a very a spicy matchup in the first round. Then you'd have had Ohio State, Arizona State, SMU, Tennessee, and Indiana, Boise, and then your buys would have been Penn State, Oregon, uh, Georgia, and Texas, and then playing those games and then moving those teams into it. Now the only thing I think we should do is once the first round is over, we also like do it like the NFL does. If you're the lower seed, the lowest seed goes and plays the number 1 seed.
So
Not
reseeds it.
not 5 goes to play 1. If like the 5 beats the 12, then the 5 goes and plays the 1. Maybe the 5 should go, to 5 should go play 4. Just like the NFL does it. But once again, this is a step in the right direction. I'm okay with the way it is. They want to make it like March Madness, but it it's a little different because basketball is different than football. Like you could see, there's more of those teams get upset in situations, but in football it's a little different because you have 22 guys and these guys are the best of the best, and it's not like 5 guys shooting threes or something like that. So I think we should maybe reseed after the first round and reseed after the second round and so forth, so forth. That way they're always getting the best matchups. But I like it. The only thing that I want to say is, once again, who reaps the benefits? The Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I don't know how they continue to do it, but they squeak away 1 year, and then 1 year they don't have to join a conference again because they are already eligible for a bye. So I don't know how they continue to do it and get away with it, but they continue to do it. Is very frustrating and annoying. But this is the right move.
And again, them getting to hand pick their schedule in a sense every year, right? Where they can kind of put the right amount of juice in the right amount of easy from the division. And in a way, I mean, I don't know how much authority I could be over speaking here. I don't think they could genuinely just go, hey, can we get that one, that one, that one? But I would say it's pretty dang close. I mean, obviously they have the rivalries, which Lincoln Riley had his voice about trying to get rid of the Notre Dame versus USC rivalry.
Yeah, of course he did. He's soft.
Yeah, it's just, this is where, again, we're going to talk about here in a bit about college football losing its lust. Is like we're getting away from what the point is. The point about it is it's about tradition. It's about history. You don't get away from that just so you can make your schedule a little bit easier. If you can't get past Notre Dame, right, and you go 9-3 and you miss playoffs, sorry about it, bud. You knew that when you got to USC, right? This is the kind of one of those things like people hated when they worked at Publix, couldn't have a beard. You knew that when you applied for the job. Okay? You can't go in and say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. You shouldn't have started here, big guy. This is what we've been doing for 100 years. Now they changed the rule now, so who am I? But yeah. Cody?
Yeah, well, we got a new English-speaking pope, so it doesn't really matter. Notre Dame's going to continue doing what they want because that guy is a sports fan, okay? He's going to set their schedule, all right? And y'all are going to just be okay with it.
I love it. That was a pretty good pull on that one. Let's move on to the lust part of the show. All right. So this has kind of been a little bit of conversation, I would say, the last 2 years with how much it's changed. NIL, people complain about it every single day, that it's ruined the sport they love. Yet we continue to show up every Saturday, screaming and yelling. I think we complain more than usual, but that's just life in general. We just love to complain. We love to vent about something. We want to be heard. And we don't want to hear when people are complaining and yelling. That's just kind of the way that it is. People are still buying their NIL jerseys. They're getting burned when they buy them, but they're still buying them. Josh Pate talked about it, and I think he kind of nailed it on the head. It's like, does it still feel the same as it did when you were a kid? Nothing does. Cartoons don't. Cereal doesn't taste the same. My public sub doesn't taste the same. I think that's just life in general. Nothing's going to feel the exact same way that it did. College game day doesn't feel the same as it once did. It's all supposed to change. It always is going to evolve. But to say that it's lost its lust, the hype is bigger than it ever is. We said it all year last year. This is shaping up to be one of the most exciting college football years of all time because of the 12-team playoff. And I agree that it was. Did the playoffs live up to the hype that we thought they would? I was fine with
At
them.
games.
Yeah, I
Some
wasn't
games,
mad
yep.
about it. I think the
I thought it
Texas
was great.
ASU game, yeah, those were all
Yeah.
great things. Ohio State just found what they should have had all season and just ran through a big piece of it. But outside of that,
All the
it
games
was
can't be great.
yeah, that's just part of the world. Like, but people, everybody. Here's the other thing: you could get overstimulated. If everything's good, then what do you compare it to? You need a little bit of
Right.
flatness here and there. I think we got ourselves a fantastic Final Four matchup. You got yourself a fantastic championship matchup. I mean, it was Notre Dame, Ohio State. That was great. That was fantastic. So, no, I don't think that it's lost its lust. It's definitely changed. There are a few things that have bothered me, but in a weird way, right? Like we went from just buying jerseys that didn't have numbers on them. You wore the one, or if your school kind of had a guy that was 8, like they didn't have names, but you knew who it represented. You kind of were just
Yeah.
kind of back to that because we're all afraid to go buy a jersey because of them leaving in 5 minutes. That part of it, I would say, is a little bit different, but at the same time, we're getting new and shiny toys with the transfer portal that we can get excited about. So the lust has changed from what it was in a sense, but I don't think it's lost it. I think it's bigger than it's ever been. College football and NFL, in my opinion, are the two best brands at branding themselves and making you just be absolutely fired up, regardless of what rules changes they do. The NFL changed the kicking rule last year. The dumbest thing ever. The league's so great and so fun. We got over it in 5 minutes. We're just like, whatever. We don't care. The rest of the product's so good, it doesn't matter. College football is the exact same. Cody?
I think that people maybe because they're watching so many podcasts and watching recruiting, I think people get college football fatigue and NFL fatigue. And as a podcaster, I get fatigued at times. Truthfully, I've kind of unplugged the last week and a half, and it's kind of nice. It's not that I don't love college football any less or any more, but when you're covering it 24/7 and it's on Twitter in your face 24/7, it loses its lust a little bit. It's like it's one of those things where you can't always have the bite of the apple. It makes it great when you do get that bite of the apple, but when the apple's in your face and you have a buffet of apples, it's not as appealing.
Cody is on. I think you're 100%. You don't think so, Ty? You disagree? Or was now?
Yeah, man, I ain't fatigued. I definitely not fatigued.
Okay, hold
I'll
on.
just
I
keep
want to
going.
speak on it though, because look, I think some of us love it. I think the junkies are all in for it. But I would say as a whole, yeah. I mean, recruiting covered at an elite level now than what it was before. I mean, the content creators were all trying to constantly talk about it to where it doesn't really have an off season anymore. You can't miss it.
Mhm.
You can't loathe it, right? You can't just you earned for it. And we're still, I want it. Don't get it twisted. But in a way I kind of appreciate the off season. Right? It's nice. And look, I did back then too, so that's kind of neither here nor there, but I kind of to that fatigue, I think we almost hype it up. We excite it. We talk about what it is and how it feels so much that when it finally is here, then it doesn't live up to it. It's like telling your friend about a great movie. You're like, this thing is the best thing. It's awesome. And it probably is a good movie. But you talk about it for a week and it finally gets there and it's like, yeah, it wasn't as good as you said it was. No, it was. I just probably just talked about it so damn much that this thing really had to turn.
Oversaturation.
Exactly. Ty, fatigue? No?
No, I mean, I definitely don't have any fatigue. We're good there. But what I understand what you're saying though. I do get it. Like there are certain things that I don't like about it right now, but I think we're slowly but surely getting better, and I think it's kind of bringing back to the old school. It's not ever going to be the old school way because of what we have now, but it's slowly but surely they're putting rules in place and trying to make them work. It's a couple different. There's a couple different things. I understand the fatigue factor, but like there's so much to talk about now. There's always something going on. I don't think it's lost its lust. I just think I think there just needs to be a couple different rules, and I think we're back in the days when I used to get super excited about it when I was a kid. Like there's the only difference is like once again you're nil. You can't go buy a little kid a jersey anymore and be like, well, this might not be good by the end
Uh,
of
uh,
spring.
uh. The the professor has figured out the nil problem. You buy your
Uh
jerseys
oh.
post spring portal only for seniors.
Oh, there you
It's not
go.
That's all
bad.
I do now.
Well, you get to only still wear them for 1 year.
That's okay. No, I wear them all. If he's a great player, I mean,
Yeah,
I
you
got
can kind
look.
yeah, because think about it.
Yeah,
That's
I
what we
got a
did. Yeah, you
Pearsall
can still
jersey
wear it.
I love.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
definitely rock a Pearsall jersey and be respected. There's something about rocking that nostalgia jersey too that kind of hits a little bit. But yeah, for me, I love it even more. And some people say like, oh, we used to sweat out the must wins. Like think about culture before you had to win every Saturday, and it made Saturday stressful as hell. And maybe it's just because I'm a Florida fan and Saturdays are just stressful in general. Okay, as of late here, but I don't. I think that with even though you have 12 teams, is there an easier path? Yeah, but we're also playing the SEC, and the SEC is much better than what it was 20 years ago. And so when 4 teams were competing for that spot, for 2 spots, right? Now there's 8 teams competing for 4 spots. The chances of making it are just as hard. It hasn't really changed. It's still stressful as hell. You still got to win the important ones. You still got to get after it. And I kind of like the fact that if you're off one Saturday, the whole season is not just shot. Remember those days?
Yeah.
You'd lose one game, you're like, all right, well, shit's over with. Let's just see what kind of cool bowl game we get. And there was a part where the bowl games were just trash. That was what I was really getting irritated with. You go to 16 teams in the playoffs, you can kind of get back to the more bowl games matter. Why we like the bowl games? Because you kind of get the cool, you get the Pop Tarts, you get the nuances, right? Now we would kind of get cooler games, which we're losing. We're losing that regardless. That's just because kids want to sit out and don't want to play. But this, I think it's finding a sweet spot. I agree. I like the fatigue take though. Solid take. I think that is a solid point of why people are feeling this way. But the product, where it's at, I think it's at an all-time high.
I also think that the bowl games are very intriguing because you use the bowl games as the playoff games. I guarantee you they have more viewers now than they would if it wasn't a playoff game. So that aspect I think is pretty big too, honestly.
I can tell you, a lot of scouts watching them.
The playoff
Like,
bowl games?
the bowl games, the
So like
college scouts. Wait, hey, this guy kind of balled out at the Chick-fil-A bowl. Like, hey, can we see if we can slide in his DMs and
Well, it's a
get him
playoff
to come
game,
over
right?
here? No,
yeah, but what
I'm
I'm
just
saying is
talking
like
like
the
the
Peach Bowl, if we just had 2 regular teams in it and it didn't really matter, it was just a playoff. It was just, but now when that Peach Bowl becomes a playoff game, now it probably gets more viewers, is what I'm saying. It probably brings some
yeah,
outside
Oh,
people that
no
would not
question.
watch it to begin with.
yeah,
No
for sure,
question.
That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's good for the brand.
That's what I'm
for
saying.
sure.
That's why they want to expand it because now you probably got honestly these bowl games that they know that they're the next 2 or 4 bowls that are kind of on that cusp of like, hey, we could be in this viewership world. They're probably banging on that door of like, hey, add a couple
Oh,
more
they're
teams in
fighting.
there. Yeah, add a
They're
couple more.
fighting. They want that thing for sure. They want that spot. There's no getting around it.
Yeah, I think for I think it was Matt Rule, right? What's his name? Nebraska's head coach. Was
Nebraska
talking
head
like,
coach.
everybody's gonna get in. It's gonna be easy. The NBA did it. They allowed for more teams to get in. They have to play in games. MLB has done it. It's great for the sport. You want your team that's kind of grinded all year right at the cusp there. Most of the teams don't go far. The best teams still win.
Right.
But it's fun for you if you're a fan base and you kind of have a down year. You kind of can hang on for a little bit. It keeps you more
You
engaged.
still got a little hope.
Yeah.
You got a little
And
hope.
if you go in there and upset a guy, massive for the brand. So for him to say that is just ignorant because it's like you should want that because now your seasons become more valuable. I don't know. I think it's at a great spot. Let's get into our last little bit here. Great show, great conversations thus far. We've been doing the top 5 quarterbacks, running backs. Now we go into wide receivers. I let Ty and Cody duke this one out. Cody's watched a lot of film. I know Ty's also dialed in with his guys. And I got to tell you, I think Ty's list is better than Cody's. I'm already getting after it with you boys and girls. You left. Well, look, I think you left a big team off. That was my only thoughts, my only concerns. We'll get into it right now, though. I mean, no need for me to tease the people. One on the left is Cody's with Ryan Williams, Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, who is now at Auburn. Just so you guys are unaware, Eugene Wilson. I love that pick. And then Kevin Coleman there. Now, and that you can see similar here with our guy. Love you got Eugene at 3 there. Ty, that fires me up. And Ryan Wingo. Ryan Wingo is very exciting last year. Got Arch obviously coming in. Aaron Anderson is what won it for me, right? I think you could have thrown Nick Anderson up there, and that anybody from LSU. You can't say that Garrett Nussmeier is going to be a top Heisman contender, throw for over 3,500 yards, do what he did last year, and not have essentially next to Ohio State wide receiver not in the top 5. That was my reason for it. Eric Singleton, love what you did. I know he was huge at Georgia Tech. I'm not sold. Cam Coleman did great things at Auburn with Peyton Thorne throwing to him. Okay,
Yeah.
I think the question mark at Auburn, who transferred in at Auburn? Exactly.
Oh.
Quarterback?
I know they got.
I mean, this is more of a talent situation. It's more of a
I
talent
think they
situation.
got I think they got a young guy though. They got like a good 4-star, right? At
They got
Auburn. Sling it.
They got a great quarterback in the portal or in the draft, yes, but I don't think that he is their guy. Right now, their depth
Arnold
chart
is the
has.
transfer from Oklahoma.
Oh, they have
boys.
Jackson Arnold.
I couldn't think of it.
Jackson Arnold. Oh no.
I was like, they got it. They got a guy.
Listen,
Yeah, I love Jackson.
I'll say this. We keep seeing Auburn on these like top 25, and you kind of shake your head. But here's the thing: talent-wise, on
they got it.
offense, they should be there. I mean, they have a wide receiver core that's elite, and they got great running backs. They got a good offensive line. It's the quarterback position, and Hugh Freeze play calling. I just don't understand. But you go and get Eric Singleton, who was absolutely electric at Georgia Tech. I mean, he was everything for them. And you have Cam Coleman, and you have Bryce Kane, and you have Perry Thomas, and you have what's left over the Freeze 5. I mean, they have weapons. Can they get a quarterback to get him the ball? And I understand why I did my list. I didn't put LSU up there. This is my only thing. I just didn't know which LSU wide receiver to pick, because it always feels like there's some guy that we're not talking about or nobody knows his name, that they came out of the bayou, just came out of the swamp, that nobody's ever heard of, and he's gonna light it up. So that's the only reason I left LSU off, because I didn't know which one.
That's fair. I think, look, Jackson Arnold, loved him. I think he's great. Didn't really have much success at Oklahoma, but a fantastic young quarterback. Again, both guys in Singleton and Jackson
Coleman.
learn the system. This is their first year. Well, Cam balled out with Peyton Thorne, so I don't hate Cam Coleman up there because of what he was able to do. I mean, he's absolutely electric. Ryan Wingo, again, I think that one's a freshman. I love Eugene. I think because we saw what Eugene was able to do with very little, and he hasn't really been 100%. And obviously, the anticipation for DJ Lagway is massive, and I think the room around him is what's going to allow him to be better because he did a lot when it was all on him. Ty?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm gonna go through my list real quick. I mean, Ryan Williams, we all know what he is. I mean, he stepped up last year, and he was a monster for Alabama, and he did a lot of things for
Look,
Jalen
does he
Milroe.
take a
Helped
step
him
back,
out a
though,
lot,
with no
whatever.
Milroe?
And that's what I'm curious by it, but it's a pro style quarterback now, so I don't think the step back happens. I think he actually might get more intermediate routes. So, I'm interested to see if his route running is different because a lot of his plays, seem to be deep balls for Milroe because that was Milroe's strength. But I think Ryan Williams still is they're going to get him the football. He's going to make plays. Now, when you come to Cam Coleman, he was another true freshman last year, and after October, he did not drop one pass. That's an interesting stat.
Wow.
He didn't drop a ball. I mean, and when you have a receiver that's not dropping balls, and he was a true freshman also, and it just seemed like it took him a little while to get into the rhythm of college football because when you come from high school to college, it can take a little bit of time. There's a little growing pains, but once again, that didn't last very long. And then he came out and he was balling out. I think he had 6 touchdowns after October. Didn't drop a ball. He was legit. Eugene Wilson to me is the guy who's so good between that 10 to 19-yard range, and I think that's where they want to live. I think that's where they want to live with Lagway and then take some deep shots. And with his route running and all he can do, they're going to rely on him a lot. I mean, I think he's over 1,000 yards this year. I really do. Staying healthy, obviously, all that matters. But And then you look at Aaron Anderson, the Anderson twins. I mean, him and Nick, obviously not twins, but the both of those guys are going to have a big year. I couldn't, I couldn't pick one. I like Aaron Anderson a little bit more than I like Nick Anderson. But once again, both of those kids can play, and with Nussmeier throwing them the ball, I think they both have big seasons. So if one goes down, the other probably has a monster year. But those two guys, I think the LSU offense is going to be very, very electric. Can they play defense this year? I don't know. They put in a lot of guys. We'll see. And then my last one is Ryan Wingo, and it's Lewis Bond or Bond's gone, and you got Golden
Golden's
gone,
gone.
and now Ringo, who was a true freshman last year. And when Arch started 2 games, he was his go-to guy, and that is a big factor. Now he becomes the #1 receiver, and with Arch loving him over the first 2 games, I think those two in the spring will get more and more used to each other. And I expect Ryan Wingo to have a big. I mean, he's like 6'2", 215. He can go up and get the football. He's a great football player. So that's why I got him at 5. He could easily go to #1, considering the situation. But all these guys are very
I,
talented football players.
I do ask this. Do you think Eric Singleton made a mistake and he takes a step back going to Auburn
No,
High?
it's not that. I like Eric Singleton a lot. I liked him at Georgia Tech, and he thrived in a run-first offense. So, with that being said, I think he's kind of going to put up similar numbers because he's not – I don't know if he's going to be the go-to guy. I think, obviously there's going to be some split. I don't know if his numbers are going to take a hit, but he can give reverses. I mean, you can give him the ball in space, and he's gonna make people miss. He was so good at that at Georgia Tech. I think it's a big. I think all these guys, like I said, Eric Singleton, great football player. His
Yeah.
numbers don't show up because he played at Georgia Tech, but that receiving room, like you said, is probably the best overall receiving room that's in the SEC. But will Jackson Arnold look like Oklahoma Jackson Arnold, or will he take a step forward? Is the question.
I
Yeah,
think
it's gonna
Aaron
be a big
Anderson
question.
should be higher. I think he has. I can't put him over Ryan Williams because just of what he was able to do his freshman year. He had more receiving yards than Ryan Williams his first year. The reason why I think he should be higher too is because of all these guys that you see on this list, he's the only one. Well, excuse me, Eugene Wilson's the other one that are playing with somebody that they're familiar with that they played with last year. So there's chemistry, there's history there. They've already caught 900 yards or whatever yards from
Yeah.
those guys. Ryan Williams is going into a complete question mark. Cam Coleman's going into a guy that struggled essentially. Ryan Wingo is going to arguably the best prospect coming out of high school and has some familiarity, so it's not completely cold to him. But yeah, Aaron Anderson is the only one that's already done great things with Nussmeier, and they went out there. Now, the one that you can't argue is they put more weapons around him, which could take away from him, and that's kind of what Cody said. But there's always weapons at LSU. They're always sending guys high in the draft, and
They put him in the league, buddy.
Yeah,
There's
they
no getting
put him
around
in
it.
the
There's
league.
a lot of
you
good
know
wide
what?
receivers.
Yeah.
in the league.
And it never fails. It's a guy that we're not even talking about. Like I said, that's why I couldn't put an LSU guy on there because always a guy that we're never talking about. We don't even know his name yet. He's probably from the swamp down there somewhere, eating crawfish and gigging frogs right now as we speak. But hey, don't forget about Kevin Coleman, the Louisville transfer to Mizzou.
Mizzou.
He's kind of that Trey Burton-esque receiver that will go into the slot and be their guy there. And
I got one
they
more
don't have
sleeper.
much. Go ahead.
My sleeper would be the guy I don't have on a list is Caden Lee out of Ole Miss. The guy had more 20-yard catches than anyone in the league last year besides Matthew Golden. And we all know that they are going to sling it at Ole Miss.
Austin Simmons can sling it.
So,
Yeah.
Austin
Yeah.
Simmons can sling the ball. It was tough. It was tough. That was my biggest debate was Kevin Coleman and Lee.
Look,
Yeah,
this is a homer pick. Dallas Wilson has the features and the ability of what Ryan Williams, Cam Coleman, and Ryan Wingo were their freshman year.
Absolutely.
The difference is massive difference, and I think it's a pro. Is one a huge returning line, right, to give their star quarterback and DJ Lagway a lot of time to throw. Now, the thing that's hurting them is The play calling, right? That's going to be a big factor. I also think that that room is so deep that it could also help him, allow him to come in and be big time in the right moment. So it'll be interesting to see. Cam Cohen and Ryan Williams are special. So I people always get frustrated when I compare it to. Look, it's a compliment to those two guys. He possesses the right things that you need to be that. A lot of things have to go right though to be those guys too. So I understand that, but I
But
think that the blueprint and the opportunity for it to happen is definitely there.
I'll say this though, you gotta look. He's not gonna be a one man band. Ryan Williams was pretty much a one man band at Alabama
Correct.
last year,
And I think
and
that's a
then
factor.
Cam
Yep.
Coleman was a one man band
Yep.
this year. You got at Florida, you have wide receiver talent everywhere. It's not even it's a point. There's not even enough offensive plays and passing opportunities to get it to Dallas Wilson for him to be a freshman phenom. I mean, you got Studevant, you got
Agreed.
Eugene, you got
Not to mention the running back room that's going to eat too. Yeah, I
the
agree.
running back room, and we're run first heavy. So it's tough when you think about
I
those
don't think he's
guys.
a
Which
top
it's
5
a good
guy.
problem
I
to
don't think
have,
he should
though.
be in the list. I'm just saying somebody, like you said, a name that we probably aren't talking about that could emerge. He is somebody that
Oh, absolutely.
could step into that very quickly. Again, yeah, there's a lot of guys there, but five-star wide receiver, you don't keep him off the field if he's
Oh, he's
everything we think he can be.
over
he
or
starts to
under.
do
He's gonna
that.
have 3 ESPN top highlights this year. Probably, I'd bang the over on that. I mean, you are Dallas Wilson's gonna have his moments and gonna have some
Cam
big ones. We
Coleman
saw it
had
in the spring game.
600 yards receiving last year. Does he have more or less than that?
More.
I mean, I think it's more personally.
So
I
okay,
mean,
so
I think he's
you're
taking.
supporting my argument then,
What I'm
because you
saying
got
is
Cam
like
Coleman
these
second
guys.
right now.
What? Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he's going
I
to have
agree. I'm
over.
not.
But what I'm saying is, from a talent standpoint, he's number 2. Now, will he have the numbers to back it up? I do not know.
If he has
But
over
you're
600
telling me
yards, he's in this conversation because Cam Coleman was in the conversation last year with 598 yards.
But Cam
Yeah, I
Coleman
mean,
was a
he's
one-man band again, though. Auburn had no offense whatsoever last year, and that was their only bright spot.
If
I don't
Dallas
think
Wilson
that's
puts
the
over
thing at
puts over
Florida.
600 yards and
It's
8
not the
touchdowns,
yardage.
it's just
It's the highlights, the
sure the
your
big moments.
everything. It's
If
just like
Dallas
Williams.
Wilson
It's
has
the
over
same thing.
600 yards, he's going to have plenty of those.
well.
I get that. I get
I
that
just
also, but
Yeah,
it's
I hear.
one of those things where
I think we're saying the same thing.
it's
yeah.
tough in a deeper wide receiver room for sure.
We're on the same page here. We're on the same team.
On my list is pretty wild though that I never thought I would ever have this, but you have true sophomore and Ryan Williams, Cam, and Wingo. All those guys came out of the same recruiting class, and they were all 5-star monsters, and they all
Yeah,
put they all did
Eugene
their
Wilson's
thing.
a
So
sophomore. He's a redshirt
Was that the
sophomore.
Jeremiah Smith? Was that the
No,
Jeremiah
it was
Smith
one
class?
before it. What was?
Oh.
Yes, it was that class.
no, and
Yes,
Jeremiah
it was
Smith
that
was
class.
also
Oh my God, that might be the best wide receiver class ever.
Dude,
Yeah.
Ever.
That's going to be a
and if
wild
they all come
NFL
out in the
draft,
league at the same time, my dear Lord.
dude.
Think about it. Think about it. Hold on. Think about it.
Not this year, but next year, right? Not this next year, but the 2 years, right?
They can all come out next year, yeah.
And
Yeah.
they
And you
probably
got
will.
the Arizona. You got the Arizona State kid too, Tyson.
Oh yeah, Jordan Tyson. I think his name's Jordan Tyson.
Yeah,
it's
it's unreal.
you could see a
Wow.
bunch of wide receivers get drafted in the first round here a little bit, and that maybe not next year, but the year after, we could see a monster receiving draft class for sure.
Yeah, that
Best
could be the
ever.
next era. That's definitely the next era of wide receivers. And that, look, I mean, we've had, I would say, like 1 or 2 good ones a year. This would be huge. This would be a monster.
It'd be like the Justin Jefferson class.
Yeah, that was
Go
what?
look at that class.
Yeah, that we have was it a JJ, Jamar, right?
Jamar Chase. Yeah, there was a bunch of them.
I want to say,
You know what's wild? This is random. Just to think about this, but we're talking about that draft class. Do you know that the Eagles had a chance to take Jefferson, and they took Jalen Reagor? Imagine if they took Jefferson.
Yeah, I have it on my thing where Zimmer there. So that was when they were at home doing the draft. And Zimmer and Spielman are laughing because they took Rager, and they're like, "I can't believe we got this guy, Justin Jefferson. Oh my God, he fell to us.
No,
Those dummies."
So that year, 13 wide receivers went in the first 2 rounds. So it was Henry Ruggs, who was obviously great. Jerry Jeudy,
yep.
who kind of, I wouldn't necessarily hasn't lived up to the hype, but was still like a big
Nah.
college wide receiver. CeeDee Lamb has definitely done his part. Jalen Rager, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk. He's
good.
pretty big,
He's
pretty big
solid.
factor.
He's
T.
a good
Higgins
football
is
player. For sure.
T. Higgins is kind of good.
Pretty good football player.
Michael Pittman, he's held his own for sure. Laviska Shenault went to the Jaguars. Of course, we blew it. Chase Claypool, Van Jefferson, and Denzel Mims. Pretty solid class. So, what's his face was not in that? Jamar Chase.
Oh, Jamar Chase. Yeah.
I thought
It'd
he
be
was
the
the
year
year
after.
after. Yeah.
I think he's right. Yeah. Because
golly, you talk
he
about-
has shined
talk
when
about-
Jefferson left. So 100%. The year that Jefferson left, Chase had a monster year for LSU.
No, I don't think Chase played. Chase sat out.
No, Jamar Chase played. He had a monster year.
I think he sat out.
Jamar Chase had a monster year for LSU.
He sat out one year.
Oh.
He sat out 1 year. So his class was just as good, though. His class was Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Kadarius Toney, Rashad Bateman, and then it falls off. But it was very top heavy. Where this is where this class could go, where you got 5 or 6 guys. But the difference was between this and 2020. 2020 they were late. They were 15 and on. This was pick 5, pick 6, and pick 10, were your first 3 picks. That was. And pick 20. So that was pretty huge.
I'm telling you this, we're only talking about SEC wide receivers. When you classify Big Ten
and put
ACC
Jeremiah
stuff like that,
yeah,
and Jeremiah Smith in there, and
Oregon's got some
whoever
dogs.
else,
Oregon's got some dogs out there
Oregon's
too. They got
yeah,
a couple.
you're talking one of the best wide receiver classes ever to come out of college football, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be electric, and just like that, we're not even worried about college football fatigue. We're right back in it with a little bit of.
I was just about to say that. So much for lust, huh?
Yeah.
So in 2019, Jamar Chase had 84 catches, 1,780 yards, and 20 touchdowns.
That was
and
when
he
he played with
sit out
JJ.
and he sit out the COVID year. He did opt out the COVID year.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
But that was the year with JJ. So he sat out the year after.
Okay.
Yeah, because JJ and Jamar went together, and Jamar was like, I'm not playing without Burrow. So he sat it out. So I'll see you in the NFL next year, boys. Yeah. So he did that with JJ.
That's even more incredible. Because that team was monsters. You're right.
Monsters.
That team was.
That team was stupid.
That had that one of the best teams of all time. One of them for sure. That dude. Oof.
Top 15 for sure.
And
I think it's high.
And a head coach barely speak English.
I mean, come on, go Tigers, you know. What a run for that guy. He just landed in that thing. I don't think he even understands how to coach a football game. Go Tigers. I love it. Boys and girls, fantastic show as it always is. Leave your thoughts and comments down in the comment section below. We got Cowboy Ty, Cody the Professor, and me. I don't have a cool nickname, but y'all be good. Stay tight. Hope you guys have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. Smash the like button, subscribe. Till the next time, boys. Peace and love, baby.